Yeah, you read the headlines right. This is a video that's going to overly explain how to change your front brake pads on a 2010 Jeep Patriot. It is. I don't know what this has to do with anything. I just thought it was cool and you want to see it. So there it is. But let's do this video. I'm going to overly explain it. So for you beginners who's never touched your car before, you should be able to change your brake pads after watching this. So take your time, work through the video, and I'm going to see you on the middle and the back end of this video. Good luck. It's a good time and it's good information. What do you think so too? Think they think so too. All right, let's do this. It's called the Angel of Hope, by the way. That's all for you. In video number 43, I teach you how to change a tire. And the first step in changing a tire is to take the wheel off. And where does the jack go? The scissor jack that comes with the car has a niche already in place underneath the car for it to go. But some people have a floor jack. And just to the right of the floor jack is a place for the floor jack. You see those holes that are there? That's kind of where the floor jack goes, right there. You see these things with the holes? Your floor jack goes there. Now, once you got the car up in the air, you actually put a jack stand. So in case the scissor jack fails or the floor jack fails, the car doesn't fall on you, and there's an actual jack. And if you go a little more to the right, you see a rail. The rail, that's where your jack stand goes. So again, you got your scissor jack. It's got a cutout for it. Your floor jack will lift the car there, and your jack stand for safety goes there. For example, this is a 3-ton floor jack, which is good enough since your Jeep weighs between 31 and 3,300 pounds. It should be able to lift to one side. Notice the floor jack has a circular part positioned in the correct spot to lift the car. This alternate method shows the floor jack lifting where the jack stand usually goes, then placing the jack stand directly behind the floor jack and setting it down on the rail. Yes, it still counts. Vest, tie, walking cap. Now the scissor jack that's lifting up the car, like in video number 43, comes with the jack like this. Now it's good to have something else around, but that is a 3/4 inch fitting that's on the scissor jack. Well, a socket set has a 3/4 inch fitting. I'm doing a couple turns with this. It will take 85 turns of this thing to get the car up just a 1/2 inch, enough to get the tire off, okay? This may take a little less than that, but it'll be much easier. I'll show you the difference. Hey, now it's finally time to show you how to do the brake pads. Why am I giving you this pause? Because what you're about to see is the real me. I mean, I wear this vest and a tie and a walking cap, and a friend of mine in the next town over got me a t-shirt, and on it was painted a vest and a tie. And it was much more comfortable to wear a t-shirt when you're taking the tires off and doing brake pads. So, I'm a big guy, and I don't know what you think about me when you're here, but some of the people watching this video will not know how to change their brake pads when they're done watching this video, because sometimes you can't see past what's on the surface. So what you're about to see is a big guy, and I am the big guy. And I'm going to be rolling around like a beached whale on the ground, changing brake pads. Maybe a little funny, but it just shows you anybody can do it. You can change your brake pads too, no matter what size or shape you are. If I can do it, and you're about to see me do this, if I can do it, you can do it too. All right, and I'll get together with you on the next video and talk about a couple of videos ago and how I was doing on that. And but for now, let's get our brake pads done. That's important. So let's get that done right now. And I hope you can pay attention to how it's done versus the guy changing them and how I look. Anyway, have a good one, and see you at the end of the video. It tends to fall off a lot. If you can keep it on there, you can do a couple of turns. You can see 85 turns like that takes a while. A wrench and you're lifting the car pretty quickly. There's my jack stand and my scissor jack. Now, I did put the jack stand in the place of where the floor stand would normally go. That's because I couldn't get my scissor jack to go up another inch. So I could get this very tall jack stand. I'll know to get a shorter jack stand next time, but this particular one I need to go up another inch. So I got my jack stand for safety, my scissor jack is there. Let's take a look at the wheel. Again, I did take my wheel off and push it off to the side because we already know how to take the wheel off the car from video number 43. That leaves behind this. We're looking at the rotor, which will change at some point, but we're not here for the rotors today. The rotor is the shiny part, the circular disc there. And to the left is this part. It's called a caliper. It's this metal part right here that goes around. It's a half circle. That's the caliper. Inside the caliper is the brake pad. I'm going to show you how to get to the brake pad right now. Many videos telling you how to change the brake pad on a Jeep will tell you there's 2 bolts to unscrew to get the caliper off. I say there's only one, and the socket now is pointing to the one. Now you can do the top socket or the bottom, the top bolt or the bottom bolt. Either one is fine, but they will tell you this is a 9/16 bolt, and it's not. It's really a better fit is a 14 millimeter. You may have to tap it on there a little bit, but it'll fit. Now you can use a 14 millimeter socket or the 14 millimeter wrench, either or. But if you've never changed them before, they're manufactured on there and they're probably rusted. So you're gonna have to probably bang that thing with a hammer or something big to get it loose the first time. Now, which way does it turn? This is important. In the world of fixing anything, people have learned the term righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. That's how things normally go. And it's still correct in a sense, but remember, it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey when you're looking at the head of a bolt or the head of a screw. In this case, the bolt is facing behind us. It's away from us. So it's still righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, but only if we were underneath the engine, facing back, looking towards us. So in this case, we had the socket and we are going to turn this way. So I'm going to go back this way, and now we're now unlocking it right now. So we're going to turn what's known as clockwise. What kind of clock? This way. The 12 will be up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way around. So we're turning this way or that way. So if the wrench or whatever you have is down here, you'd hit it upwards to make it go this way. If it's downwards, you still hit it upwards, so it goes this way. You want to go that way towards the steering wheel. I don't know how many times I have to tell people different ways of saying that, because the more you hit it the other way, the more tight it gets. So use the term, from looking at it, the clockwise, going this way. You can still use righty-tighty, but it's the opposite in this situation. You got to use your imagination that you're on this side looking at it. Or I can say turn it or break it towards the steering wheel. So you're going that way towards the steering wheel. And that will loosen that bolt. Let me get that loose for you. Now I've taken the top bolt out of the caliper, just the top bolt, and set it aside. I'm going to come up and I'm going to pop my hood. Because right here in the cap that's typically yellow is the brake fluid. Now the brake pad is tightened onto the disc, and we need to push it back a little bit, but there's pressure in there. So you need to unscrew this cap and just put it off to the side, just like that, just so we can push the piston back a little bit.
Now on this side of the caliper, remember, here's the whole disc. The metal that's making a partial circle around the rotor is called the caliper. It has a hole. Inside that hole allows you to use a screwdriver just to stick it in the hole, and then you can pull back just a little bit, give it a little pressure like this. Just give it a little bit of pressure, just stick it in the hole there, and that's gonna push the piston back a little bit. It doesn't have to be very much at all, because the end result is you're just gonna put your finger right here and pull, and it leans back like a lid, like that. Now, I did the top part, and the reason why I did the top part is I want to show you the alternate way of doing this. And most people on the internet will take the bottom bolt off and flip it up like a lid, and mine would not come out. You're going to run into that. These top bolts have been there quite a while. They're rusted in, and there's nothing I could have got to get that bottom bolt out, so I had to find a new way. So I'm showing the an amazing alternate way to change the brake pad. See, now not only will you be a do-it-yourselfer brake pad changer, you're going to know another way other than the regular guys of how to do this. So again, the top bolt is what come out back here. I let the caliper fall downward. I cannot get to the brake pad itself yet because it doesn't open all the way. But right behind here, people, right behind there are two bolts. And now remember our righty-tighty, lefty-loosey rule. We are facing the bolts, so it is righty-tighty, and we want to loosen it lefty-loosey, so we would turn that to the left. And the size of those bolts are the same as the bolt we just took out of the caliper, which is a 14 millimeter. So you can stick a 14 millimeter in there. Left is loosening it. And we can take that bolt out. So when I took that bolt out, those black lines there, those are brake lines. And it allowed them to come free. And here are the two bolts right here. One still has a brake line on it, and one is the one I took out. So there's the lines, and guess what happened when I took those brake lines out? Look at the caliper. It's all the way down here now, exposing the entire brake pad. I mean, this is the brake pad. Now it happens to be a new brake pad because I went through this video a couple of times to make it for you before I got to the final. So I've actually already changed these a few times just to make this. Now I talked about something called a piston. That hole right there, that's called a piston. And what that piston does is when you step on your brakes, there's a round pipe that comes out and pushes against the brake pad. And when the brake pad pushes inward, it pushes onto this rotor, stopping your car because your wheel's attached to the rotor there. So these things that sit on the outside are your brake pads, and you'll be hearing squealing if they're getting low. And I'll show you how to take those brake pads off. Okay, typically there's your rotor and your bolts where your tire goes back on. The brake pad is going to be really skinny. Here's a brake pad that's ready to be changed. It was squealing. You can see the metal's on the back side. The pad itself is connected to it, and not enough left on there, just a little bit. Here's a pad that's even lower. You can't even see hardly any of it, and that's squealing pretty bad, pretty loudly. And this was the other side of the car. It was down a little bit. So you don't want them to get down that far. You'll hear the squealing pretty bad, but this one had nothing left. Versus a new one, here we go. Versus a new one, you can see how thick it is. You shouldn't really need a tool to get these out. You can just pull them out. Sometimes if you want to use a tool, you can just use a little flathead screwdriver. And on these, look how thick that is. But usually you just pull them out. And then once you pull them out, you toss away the old one, take the new one, and these are grease. You get some brake grease, and you really put a lot on there. Put a lot of brake grease on there, and then you just push them back in this way. Push them back in. Now there are some metal items that come with your brake pads that go here and here that hold them up. Most guys don't change those out because it's a pain. to get back in. If the ones are still there and you can see it and they're metal, they're fine. You don't have to put brand new silver ones in there. Now we do everything in reverse. So we are in fact going to put that bottom of the 2 bolts, see where we're at. There's the whole wheel, the caliper, and the 2. I put my bottom bolt back in where it is righty tighty, lefty loosey. It is right to tighten it because we are looking at the head of the bolt. So I did tighten this by turning it towards the steering wheel, or clockwise. Alright, then I put my backside bolt back in. That's this one right here on the top. The one on the bottom is like right there. See that? It's just, that's one everybody takes out, and they flip the caliper upwards, and they put it like on, they mount it on that deck right there. So they take the bottom one out, but that one just was not coming out. So I did it the handyman way. I actually took the top bolt out and flipped it down, but I had to take the extra bolt out. So remember, it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey when looking at the bolt. So these 2 actually screwed in 2 different directions to get the same effect. So that's the top bolt right there. I just put back in. That's the caliper. That just means we're just ready for the wheel. And those of you looking at my rotors, I said that's another video. So this whole car is going to go one thing at a time. This is a brake pad video. Don't forget to put the yellow brake lid back on. Little thing about that, if you ever have low brake fluid, you probably have a leak somewhere because the brake system is enclosed everywhere. So it really shouldn't ever need more brake fluid. So you do have to put more brake fluid. Start looking around for a leak. When you're all done and your car is back on the ground, return to your brake pedal. Your brake pedal right there, it has no pressure. This brake pedal will go all the way to the floor because you had the cap off of your brake fluid all this time, and the piston was pushed back, and you got to get the piston back into position. To do that, you have to pump your brake right here, and you pump your brake at first all the way to the floor, and then a little by little it'll build back, and then you turn your car on and do it some more, and then maybe take it for a block drive down the street just to get that brake pedal working again and the brake fluid back in the lines. Thank you for sticking around to watch that whole video. That was the front brake pads. I'm going to do another one on how to change the rear brake pads. And of course, after that, hey, it's rotors and drum time. So all you Jeep enthusiasts, you got some future hints on what's going to be coming up in the near future on the videos. Thank you very much. Always good to see you. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That one we're really going to look forward to so I can do some live chats with you. I got to get 1,000 subscribers so I can be alive and chat with you guys. So let's do that. So hit that subscribe button, tell your friends. Always good to see you. Come on back.